Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Legacy Builder series. I am your host, Ace Randle. Yes, as you can see all around me, I am indeed celebrating my birthday. It actually is on tomorrow, August 4th, but I am celebrating the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th. So, of course, I got to rock my crown. I got to have my King t-shirt on. I got to sit in my throne, and I got to have all of my balloons around me celebrating 40 years of life. As always, I kind of come on with an inspirational thought, but I just want to kind of give a moment of gratitude to God for a moment before we get started with the show tonight. You know, tomorrow I will be crossing over into a milestone into my life, coming out of my 30s and into my 40s. And, you know, my life has been extremely interesting, if I could say. It has been a series of roller coasters, ups and downs, ins and outs, trials and tribulations, and the list goes on. However, God has sustained me to be to where I am now, and I am grateful for this season and this place that I'm in. I feel like my life is just beginning. Coming into year 38 or what have you, I made a move from 37 going into 38. I decided to make a move to Georgia, and I decided that I was not going to live life as usual and continue to live the life that I used to live and in the struggle that I used to be. And I just started to make some faith moves, and I made some moves down to Georgia. And so in that process, I just started to see my life started to change the trajectory. And I know some of you all have heard me talk about, seed time and harvest, and about examining your seed. And the importance of examining your seed is you have to know where your seed is going to thrive. Every seed that you have is not going to thrive in every community, in every area, and every ground. And so I had to examine my seed to see where I was going to thrive. And so moving down here between going right before my 38th birthday, I moved to Georgia to really start over completely. Moved down here with 6 bags and my business materials, and I started completely over. And when I say that God has restored me to a place that I've never been before, and the stability and things that is where it's at, I am so happy. Thank you, my mother, for coming on, for giving me my pre-birthday. With that being said, I thank God for you being in my life. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, or even Nelson, my father. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be in existence. And so I'm grateful, and I give God honor and glory for life. And having life more abundantly, and that to say that I'm in that place of having life more abundantly is something that I never really thought that I would experience, because my life had been in so much of a turmoil and struggle. However, as it says above my head, it says the heart and the mind of a king. And I talked about having a heart and the mind of the king. The scripture talks about how it's God that conceals a matter, but it's the honor of kings to search out a matter. As heights as the heaven, as depth is the earth, the heart and the mind of a king is unsearchable. And I started to realize that I had a heart and the mind of a king, and people didn't understand me, that I was trying to be a forward thinker and to go after things that I never did before. And because I had a heart and the mind of a king. And so just paying homage to that, what have you, even the new song that Beyonce has out is just resonating to me about being a king, and her new series that she did with Disney. It's just, all of it is timing. So, I have to rock my crown. I'm not a zodiac believer, so I don't believe in Leo the lion and all that. However, I do believe in scripture, and I do believe in the word, and I believe that we're prophets, kings, and priests. And I am a prophet, and I'm a king in my own right, and I'm a priest, and will be the priest of my home when I am married. And so, I had to come on for a brief moment to just give glory and honor to God for being here in this journey of my life, that I am excited to cross over into 40. I don't feel it. I don't look it. But I am grateful to cross over into this new place of life and experience life at another level. So if you want to share your happy birthdays, if you want to post your comments, definitely post your comments on tomorrow. I'm doing a birthday, like an hour birthday party, virtual birthday party online. And so you can come on, there's the link that you can come on, and you can actually tell me directly your happy birthdays. If you're a prophet, if you're whatever, you feel like you got a word for the Lord, I welcome you. And just help me joy in this milestone of crossing over into my 40s. So at any rate, I've talked enough. I have an excellent guest that is on with us tonight. She is building legacy in her own right. I'm not going to tell her story. I'm going to let her tell her story for you. Just stay tuned as I introduce our guest.
Legacy builder, Melissa Randle. A film and TV industry professional. TV credits to include ABFF Independent, Brockmire, and The Quad. Also film credits include Impractical Jokers, the movie. Fist Fight starring Ice Cube, Charlie Day, and Tracy Morgan. Last but not least, First Man. Stay tuned as we experience the journey of how Melissa Randle has built her legacy.
Thank you for coming on, my cousin. Yes, everyone, this is my cousin. My first cousin at that, and she is doing phenomenal things in the world, and I could not do this show without having her to come on to share her story. So thank you for coming on, cuz, for coming on to share your story.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. This is an amazing platform that you've built. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I am beyond proud of you. Just to kind of tell you all that she is, again, she's my first cousin. She is the daughter of my uncle, and she has been doing some phenomenal things in the world. I know you saw the intro, but that is only a snippet of the things that she's done. And so, even though we are family, there is a lot about her story that I do not know. And so I wanted to have her to come on and just really kind of share and to inspire. She is in the film and production industry, and she's doing some great things. But I want to have her to share a story, because I'm sure some of you all are trying to get into that space, and hearing her story will inspire and empower you to do the same. So let's go ahead and dive on into your history a little bit. Tell us a little bit where you're from. I know where you're from, but let's go ahead and tell a little bit where you're from. And your history growing up as a child, and then we'll kind of progress in from there.
Sure. Well, for those who don't know, I am a proud Chicagoan, and born and raised. Went to high school in Chicago, went to college a couple of hours away at Urbana, and moved to Georgia after college to start a career in a completely different industry. But yeah, proud, born and raised Chicago girl.
Wow. And so you said you went to college. So what was your field of study in college?
So, like most, my field of study has nothing to do with what I'm doing now.
Indeed.
Well, it could be applied indirectly. So I actually originally thought that I was going to be an attorney. I love the law, and I was a sociology pre-law major and thought I would end up going to law school. That ended up not happening. And instead, after college, when I moved to Georgia, I ended up working in the corporate world for a major retailer in their engineering and real estate divisions. And I did that for about 8 years and continued to grow and excel in that space and promotion after promotion. And there came a point where I actually got laid off. And I had to make a decision. Do I continue on in that field, or do I perhaps pursue something else of interest to me? Prior to that fork in the road, we'll say, I had been exposed to the film and television industry on a more direct level. Obviously, growing up as a child, we literally had like a Blockbuster video in our house when we were kids, and it was a part of our culture. When I went to college, I literally worked at Blockbuster to feed that that need that I had. And but, you know, like most of us, especially those of us that grew up in the Midwest, a career in entertainment is not something that is encouraged or deemed viable. And so we're kind of directed into other areas where our parents know that we will be able to sustain ourselves. So when I was in the corporate space, I actually had the opportunity to pursue some background work on a couple of studio projects, and just having a love for the medium in general. Of course, I was like, yes, I want to be in a movie. My first film was actually Drumline, and again, just as background. But that first introduction to being on set really set the tone, and I actually got bit by the bug at that moment, that first day on set. I got to see the wheels working behind the scenes. I got to learn some terminology about how they shoot and the phrasing of certain things, and just seeing the process come together instead of being a viewer, but being a participant. And it bit me, but, you know, being of sound mind, and again, working in corporate and having this ingrained in you that, you know, artsy fartsy is not the way to go. I kind of put it on the back burner, and I didn't really nurture that interest. I thought, I have a real job, I have a corporate job, it's stable, I'm not gonna go pursue Hollywood. So I did a couple of other films during that time, but still it was just like, oh, this is, you know, kind of fun, but whatever. Well, fast forward 4 years, 2 promotions, 2 company moves later, and I'm now in a position where I'm laid off. And I have the choice of going to one of the many companies that I have a relationship with and continuing my career in commercial real estate, or perhaps pursuing an interest that I had in the entertainment space. And for those who know me, my motto is no regrets. Like,
Indeed.
Out of all, you know, that is said and done, I just don't want to have a regret about anything when it's all over. And so I thought to myself, well, it's not like you're going to lose the insight that you've gained in that space. So pursue this. If it doesn't work, you can always go back. The opportunities will still be there. The connections and relationships are still there, and you can just carry on. But it was really important for me to pursue this. And being of the age where I owned, you know, what my future was going to look like. It was no longer about pleasing someone else. It was about taking ownership of the direction of my life. And I said, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. And a lot of people thought I was crazy. Some family were like, you want to do what? Like, no, you know, good paying job. And, you know, but for me, I've never been a materialistic person. It's always been the work that I do being fulfilling that drives me. And so again, I said, I'm going to step out on faith and I'm going to pursue this and we'll see what happens. And so I did that. Now, the funny thing is, when I was still in corporate and I was getting all these opportunities to do these studio films, I wasn't even really looking for them or searching them out. They were just seemed to be plentiful. When I decided this is what I want to pursue, all of a sudden I couldn't find the resources anymore, and it became a little bit of a challenge. Yeah, and but you know, I take it as it was intended to be a challenge, because it shouldn't have been easy. And me making the decision to make that transition, I needed to fully commit. And oftentimes things that are easy for you, you don't necessarily appreciate. So I doing my due diligence, trying to find resources, kind of hitting roadblocks, and I'm like, I know it's out there. Like, I literally was just doing this 4 years ago and there was stuff everywhere. But I stumbled upon a company that was an acting school agency. And I thought, you know, I'm pretty savvy. Like I said, I'm from Chicago, street smart. So, you know, I kind of did my homework and checked out the company ahead of time, because we know there's so many people willing to prey on the hopes and dreams of, you know, the youth and anybody aspiring to achieve something. So I'd done my research as best I could without being in the industry and really knowing a lot, and went on the audition, and, you know, was still skeptical. And they said, oh, you know, you did good, you have some chops, but, you know, there's some cost that comes associated with this. And that's when the eyebrow went up and the Chicago came out. And you know, as he went down this litany of items that I needed to, you know, fork over money for. But I knew that there was a cost associated with pursuing, you know, an interest in acting. Of course, there are tools that you need, headshots, you know, you do need training, even if you have a raw natural ability. So those things kind of made sense to me, but still I was like, okay, how much is this going to cost? And so I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Out of this laundry list of things that you know, rolled out, I will sign up to get my headshots done, because I know for a fact that that is something that is needed, and it is a nominal amount. It was $99. So I signed up for that session, came back, went to the session. My spidey sense had kind of been tingling, because it was like, okay, so you're the school, you're the agency, and you do the headshots. I thought like those were kind of separate companies.
Right.
So went to the photo shoot. The photographer was just like an employee of the company, and the whole setup was not, you know, what you imagine as somebody trying to start your career as a starlet or anything. And I just said in that moment, I was like, you know, this isn't the right place. But that's okay. I took the step forward, and that's what was really important. And ironically, that $99 lesson was the most valuable lesson, but it wasn't even a painful one. And the reason I say that is because I left the photo shoot going, that's $99 I'm not going to see again, but it's okay. I know better. But on the way home, on the radio, there was an advertisement for a film festival that was happening locally. Now, the funny thing is, I had actually tried to connect with the film festival organizers previously to no avail. And they were having their kickoff event that night at what used to be Puppy's Justin's in Buckhead. And I was like, you know what? I'm already dressed, and this is a woman thing, but I was like, I'm cute. So I can go because I already, you know, have boosted myself up. If I had been at home to start, you know, all of the doubt and other things would have kind of set in, and I wouldn't have probably gone. And even still, to be fair and honest, I had doubts because I didn't know anything about the industry other than being a consumer of it. And I thought, how am I going to fit in this space and interact and network with people and talk intelligently? I know commercial real estate. I don't know film and TV. And so what happened was I had a friend, a big brother from college. He used to go to Justin's all the time. And that was the night he would go. And I was like, this is perfect. I can have like my wingman. He can help me out. I called him up. He didn't answer.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? Okay. And so I had to come to Jesus with myself. And I said, Melissa, you want to pursue a career as an actor. No one is going to go on an audition with you. No one is going to be in that room holding your hand. It's a solo journey. And if you really want to do this, then just shut up and do it and go to this event. And if you don't go to the event, and this is me talking to myself, then I was like, I don't want to hear anything else about it. So either you go and do this or you don't. And that was all it took. And literally I said, you know what, I'm going. I can do this. And I took off driving towards Buckhead. My big brother called me, but I was already en route, already very close to Justin's. And he was like, hey, yeah, I'm going. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, cool, whatever. Because at that point, I was so set and determined in my direction that I didn't need him to be my backup and support because I was convicted. So to make a long story, try to shorten it. I went to the event. It was in a private back room. I was still anxious, but I was very excited. And I just started interacting with people and I started listening. And I was so engrossed and engaged in the conversation. My big brother called me and was like, hey, I'm at the bar. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll be there in a second. And there was something that clicked for me that was like, you can never walk away from a conversation and get that moment back, you know? Right. It's always something different. And I was just so absorbed in what was being discussed and just living and breathing in that space that I was like, well, I can't leave right now because I'm going to miss something. So long story short, I never saw my big brother that night. He actually, I think was a little peeved with me because he called me a couple of times and I kept saying, I'm coming. But again, that $99 that I spent that some might, you know, think was a loss, ended up being the catalyst for my whole career because that night was such a pivotal moment. I met some wonderful people. I spoke with the festival organizers. They were like, oh yeah, we need people. And I'm like, hey, I'm laid off. So I have nothing but time. I can definitely volunteer for you. And so I joined them the next day as a volunteer. I got to see the inner workings of the festival landscape. I got to interact with all of the VIP guests as far as the filmmakers and the other volunteers and the guest speakers. And that environment, that experience is the reason why I'm still in the business today because, you know, we think about Hollywood and the industry and the horror stories that you hear. And it's like, you know, there's a lot of charlatans, you know, there's a lot of people that aren't out to, you know, with your best interest at heart. And what I found was completely different. And I don't know if this is necessarily the norm, but my experience in that moment was that I encountered some of the most gracious people who were like, well, what is it you want to do in the business? And they were sharing of information. They were sharing of their contact. They were like, here's my email, here's my phone number, you know, keep in contact, reach out. One of the sessions was one on acting. And of course, since that was my goal at the time, I really wanted to attend it, but I ended up having to cover someone else's shift in a screening room. And so I ran into the person who was orchestrating that session, and she actually was the executive director of Screen Actors Guild. And I ran into her in the hallway, and she stopped. She was headed somewhere. She had a little traveling thing she was pulling behind her with all kind of stuff in it. And she stopped. She reached into her case, and she just started pulling out information. And she started giving me stuff, handouts from her session. And then she started sharing verbally with me all sorts of insights that I could use to help to advance my career and my interest is being in front of the camera as an actor. And I still have to this day the envelope, not envelope, it was a file folder. And I wish I had thought to have it down here to show you, because that was, well, that was over 15 years ago. But that file folder, front and back, has scribblings of notes because she was just so gracious with the information that she shared. And I never forget, you know, and I tell people that story all the time. But so everyone I met was just so welcoming. And I thought, well, maybe I can do this. I know I struggled to find resources initially, but everybody seems like they really want to see other people, succeed and get ahead. And maybe I can do this. That
Right.
first event built my love for film festivals. It made me understand how integral they are to the industry and how much of an asset they can be, whether you are in front of the camera or behind the camera. And it just gave me the courage to go ahead and pursue something that otherwise might have seemed daunting. And so literally it was a snowball effect. From that led to another opportunity, and the rest is kind of history.
Right. So here's some things that I want to pull out because she has given so many different nuggets in here in her story. And we're going to dive back into it again in just a moment. But I want to pull out a couple of things that I want you to take note in. She was in a career that was, giving her income. It had absolutely nothing to do with what she's doing now. And she was at a crossroads because she lost the job. And so she either can find another job in the career that she's in, or she can go after her passion or what she desired. And she started to go after. But here's the thing that also took place. She moved too late. There was favor and access to her in the moment when it was there, and she didn't move then, and she came upon a challenge. And some of you all have heard me say this before about the Purpose, Health, and Wealth Decade Challenge, is that if it was, it's called Purpose, Health, and Wealth Decade Challenge because it was meant to be easy, then it wouldn't be a challenge. Everything is, when you're challenged, then it means you can't do it apart from God. You can't do it apart from favor, connections, or timing. And so she still persevered, and even went to a connection that was not the right connection. She's ended up giving up $100 or what have you to do the headshots or what have you, but it didn't stop her. And this is the thing that is amazing about her story that I'm gaining from listening to what she's saying, is that she didn't stop. She looked into other avenues, and then she got connected to the Independent Film Festival or the film festivals. And that's how she started to build connections and build resources right there in that moment. Timing is essential. And so, even though she missed out, the thing that's funny about God is, or when you are on your life's journey, or you're about to when you're going after fulfilling purpose and destiny, is that even though one door might have taken you there, there's always going to be another door that's going to connect you to your purpose. And so to hear this story, I hope you guys are taking notes. I hope you guys are getting a mental notes of what's being said, because I'm telling you, if you listening to what she's saying, this is real deal stuff. This is really, how, people's lives shift trajectory from just being in, I won't call it a deadbeat career, because I'm sure you were doing well in what you were doing. However, it wasn't your passion. And now you're in what it is that you didn't even go to college for. You wouldn't. And so I want you to kind of continue on in one moment, but we do want to pay the bills real quick. We want to take a quick segment here just to go ahead and give our advertiser a moment to advertise. And we're going to come right back in a few moments to hear the rest of her story. Stay tuned.
Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Introducing Legacy Brand Consultants. Identifying the brand within. We offer vision planning assistance, strategies for increasing revenue, offer staff vision training, along with senior leader seminars. We conduct business development conferences, church expansion strategies. Also, business expansion strategies. We offer plans on increasing foot traffic with a rapid rate for success. Phase 1, vision creation. Phase 2, strategic outline. Phase 3, branding strategy. Phase 4, growth strategy. Phase 5, expansion planning. And Phase 6, the exit strategy. Schedule your consultation by calling 773-599-9388. Office hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let us help you identify the brand within.
Thank you guys for staying tuned through that brief commercial break. If you all are just coming into the room, I am interviewing Melissa Randle. She is my cousin, but she's also in the film and TV production industry. And I'm telling you, if you are just coming in, no worries. You can, go back and watch the replay, and you can hear her phenomenal story. She is my cousin. However, there is a lot about her story that I have not heard. And so I am being enlightened just to hear her journey. And so just to bring her back on, what we kind of left off was she was building connections in the film festival. And she ended up meeting someone that was really pivotal to the shift and change in her life, that she actually had a file folder, that she had all these notes and resources and information. And I'm just baffled because, interestingly enough, I actually had somebody do the same thing for me for another business venture that I've been working on through a small business, the Small Business Association in Chicago. Yes, in Chicago. And this lady had given me, a wealth of information to share, to share with me, to say, here's some things that you want to consider so that you don't find yourself in this rut. And it's really interesting how, your gift will bring you before kings. And I say this all the time, kings recognize kingly abilities in others, and they see your gifts, they see your talents, even though you might not even be fully operating in it yet. This person saw her potential and gave her the wealth of resources that she needed. So we're going to kind of dive back on in there and then progress forward in her journey, and you can just continue on from there.
Got you. Okay. Well, and one of the things you just reminded me that I wanted to point out as well is that the information that she gave me, and I was like a sponge and just absorbing it. But I want to make this point because as I moved on in my career and when I was in positions where people looked to me to give advice about their career and how to move forward in the industry, one of the things that is most important, I didn't expect her to hand me what I needed in a box with a bow on it. I was grateful for the time that she gave me in that moment and the information that she shared. But for instance, there was an event coming up, an Actors Expo. And she was like, well, I don't have the information on me right now. And I said, you've given me plenty. All I need is a seed. You told me it's an Actors Expo and it's coming up this month. Google is my friend. Like, I'm not expecting you to do the work for me. Just, directing me, ushering me kind of towards the direction I need to go is all that I need. Like, you've given me plenty. I can go forth with all of this and just do the research, deep dive, and figure out the rest for myself. And so that was something I just wanted to point out because oftentimes over the years, you can tell who's going to do well in this industry and who is going to struggle by the drive that they carry within themselves and how much they expect others to do for them. And you can put somebody in the room with power players and they will say, but am I going to get a job? And it literally, someone said that to me. I didn't make this up. I said, hey, there's this event you should go to. There's literally representatives from every facet of our industry there. And they were like, but am I going to get a job? And I was like, well, not with that attitude. No, you're not. This is an industry based on relationships and you nurture them. It doesn't always come overnight. And again, it's not going to come in a box with a bow on it. You do the work, you put in the time, and it's not even like the work of finessing or working a room, because that's not what I'm about. But you're present and people start to know you. They know your ethic, your work ethic, and they start to bring you into things, and then you prove them right, and you do a great job, and that leads to something else. And so those are the people that are going to excel, is the people that can take, oh, hey, there's this industry event, and you don't have to hold their hand and walk them through why this would be beneficial to them. They go, oh my gosh, thank you. Perfect. I will do the rest. I will figure it out, and I will see you there.
Yes, absolutely. And that go-getter mentality, what she's just displaying, is something that goes across life in general. You know, if somebody gives you information and you don't seize the moment, you know, you can miss out on the next level of provision or the connection that you need to make. I was just literally just no lie, I was just watching a unsung just before the show about music artist Cheryl Pepsi Riley, and how she was talking about this song that this group had written for her, and she turned it down. She turned it down and ended up and somebody else ended up singing that song, and that song took that woman to the top of the charts straight out the gate. And she said, I regret because I missed my moment and opportunity. And I just talked about this the other day on live at 12 midnight, like 12:30 midnight, that I said one of the things that is one of the most arrogant things about us as people is that we think that we have time to waste time, and we can do it when we want to do it, on our timing and how we want to do it. And we think that the opportunity is always going to be waiting for us when we're ready. And you have to seize the moment in time. You have to move. You have to move with the clouds. You got to move with the seasons. You got to, you know, seize, conversations, because that might be the one that's going to open up the door for you, you know, to take you to the next level. So I'm glad you shared that, because I know personally that you're a go-getter mentality, but if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be where you are today. You wouldn't be. So let's kind of dive more into your film industry. So now you mentioned how you built connections and you started in doing acting. What transition from being doing like acting roles or walk-on roles or small parts to actually going into the production side? What shifted to get to that point?
Yeah, so I think coming from the corporate world, and being a sole provider and having a mortgage and other things, I realized quickly that being in front of the camera, while it has its joys, there are a lot of things that are independent of you and your particular talent, but that just could preclude you from getting the role. And
Indeed.
what I knew was that I had bills that I had to pay. And so I said, well, you know what? I know historically, and we see it in the movies all the time, you know, these struggling actors, and what they do is they're waitresses, you know, during the day, and then they're going to auditions at night and this and that. And being, you know, a little bit older when I started pursuing the industry and having that corporate background, I just thought, well, I just don't really understand why one wouldn't work in the industry that they want to be in another capacity, because you're dividing your time across two different industries. So for me, it seemed only logical to try to get something within the industry so I could continue to learn and grow behind the scenes. And I realized that behind the scenes, they don't care what you look like. It doesn't matter if you're or you're 5 feet, if you're skinny, if you're, you know, big boned, if you're black, white, you know, Asian, whatever. Those things don't come into play. It's, can you do the job? And so I was like, well, why wouldn't I just work in production? And then when I have an opportunity to be in front of the camera, I'll be in front of the camera. But until then, I will still be in the environment I love, and I will be gleaning information and insight from the people that are in front of the camera while I'm there watching them do magic. You know, and so that was really the impetus behind it. It was recognizing that, especially starting out, you know, your opportunities are kind of few and far between as far as getting booked on things until you really build a resume for yourself. And, you know, of course, I didn't have an agent at the time. I was literally just doing background work. And that wasn't going to pay the bills.
Right.
And so I was like, yeah, you know, plus I kind of was like, you know, this isn't really for me. Like, I'm a ham,
Mm.
you know, in private with people that know me. But when it comes to, you know, being dissected in front of a large group of people and just what actors go through, like, I have the deepest respect for actors. It's just not something in my constitution. I am much better served behind the scenes. And so recognizing that early on, I pivoted and went behind the scenes and started, like most, from the bottom and worked my way up, because again, I didn't have a base familiarity with the different avenues that were available. And I think a lot of us, you know, struggle with that, or just lay people in general, because there are only certain positions that we really know or we see that are, you know, spotlit, and it's, you know, actors, directors, producers, and maybe writers. But we don't really know about the other areas that are involved. And so for me, it was a great foreground to kind of get my feet wet, understand more about the business, see where my skill set was naturally inclined, and then start to pursue those avenues. So I started as production assistant, like most people. And, you know, did not come into it like, hey, I was just a director of leasing for a major company, and, you know, now you want me to do what? You know, that wasn't the mindset at all. It was, you know, recognizing that I was starting over from scratch in an industry that I didn't know. And so I was humbled in that position. And I just, again, was a sponge. I soaked everything up. I bought books. I was like, oh, there's a book on that? Great. Let me get that. Let me get this, you know. And I read a lot. And again, kind of a snowball thing. I did one thing, and then it led to another, which led to another opportunity, which led to another. So started out as a production assistant. Had the opportunity to work for now defunct Black Family Channel. I wasn't an employee, like a staffer, but I would do some production assistant jobs for them. At that time, was thrilled, got to sit in a production meeting with Robert Townsend. It was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. You know, he gave an assignment when we were in that particular meeting about coming up with some ideas for one of their show concepts. And we were supposed to submit it that night to production, and, you know, they would look over it or whatever. And, you know, overachiever and nerd and everything, you know, so I was like, okay, you know, I have this assignment for Robert Townsend.
Right.
So I put together my list. And then I was like, but wait, you know, because again, coming into the industry later in life, being from Chicago, I was like,
right.
my ideas. And you hear about that all the time, you know. So I was like, you know what, let me put a watermark on my homework. So I put a watermark all the way across the document that had my name on it, so that all of my ideas were protected under that watermark. And the only reason I shared this story, because it was so extra, but I share it because when they got them, the VP of production saw that, and she called me in. And she was like, oh, wow. I got your assignment and saw your watermark. And I was like, well, you know, and she was like, no, that was really smart. She was like, that was really smart. And she was like, what is it you want to do? And we had a conversation, and she took the time to inquire about what my interests were. And that we're still friends to this day.
Nice.
And that, again, set me on another journey. It, you know, I stood out, I guess, in that moment to her, and it led to other opportunities with them. And there was a show that they were doing, and they needed a teleprompter operator. And they were like, hey, do you think you can operate a teleprompter? And I was like, I mean, and let me say, this was not me being cocky, because that is not what I want to be received here. But I firmly believe that there are only a few things in life that are rocket science, where you really got to put in the work to figure it out.
Right.
And it takes years and years of training and schooling and all of those things. But, I think a lot of things we just put up roadblocks or hurdles and
Right.
obstructions for ourselves and doubt. And so I was like, I'm tech savvy. I'm from a particular generation. I grew up with computers. I used to code in high school. I feel like I could probably figure it out. I feel like I'm an intelligent, individual. And
Right.
so I said, I think so, And so I met with the guy who had the equipment. And again, we've been friends ever since as well. And I went, had a meeting with him. He showed me the gear. He showed me how to assemble it. He showed me how to run it. We literally, I would say that meeting probably wasn't more than half an hour of just going through everything and him going, okay, you feel like you got it? And I was like, I think so. And, I took notes because, again, it's not about being cocky. So I took notes and everything because I'm like, this is connecting wires and different pieces. And, this is my first foray at this. So let me, be diligent about it. But I did feel confident in my ability to do it. And so I did that for them, for the show. But as a result of that, he was like, you seem to have a knack for this. He was like, I actually contract operators out. Would you be interested in doing that? And I was like, okay, sure, So that led to me being a teleprompter operator on hundreds and hundreds of live events, commercials, political spots, TV, events and whatnot, doing some amazing live events with some wonderful inspirational speakers and getting to meet some, key executives with major Fortune 500 companies and whatnot. And actually, fast forwarding many years down the road, actually working with Forever Flotus Michelle Obama and teleprompting for her when she came to Atlanta in 2011. So at that point, I had stopped doing teleprompting really, but that opportunity came up and I was like, yeah,
Absolutely.
Anything for Auntie Shell, and we're alumni of high school. So, there's love there, but yeah, so I was like, definitely, of course I want to do the job. But yeah, so I started, being a teleprompter operator and that opened the door to just other areas of production, like I said, with live events and things of that nature, and just seeing how everything worked, which tapped into kind of my producer mindset of just watching how the wheels turn and what it takes to pull off a production, whether it's live or, video as well. But so I did teleprompting for many years, but I was always doing multiple things at the same time. I don't believe in putting all your eggs in one basket, resting on your laurels. I've always been in the film festival space since that first festival that I mentioned earlier on. So I was constantly volunteering at different festivals, meeting amazing people, and just growing, my network, but learning. And that's, I'm such a huge proponent of festivals. And this is why, because you don't have to necessarily go to film school. Film school isn't the route for everyone. And it wasn't the route for me. But I made my own film school. So I looked for opportunities that would continue to educate me. And that's what I did. And if I wasn't in a position where I could just, buy a pass, an all access pass, then I said, hey, do you guys need volunteers? And I worked. And I worked the events, from behind the scenes, and there were some privileges to that. And there was a lot of labor, of course, involved, but that knowledge to me was like film school,
Right.
So I always say there's more than one way to skin a cat. And for me, it was like, I'm going to design my own film school. Let's see, I'm going to all these film festivals. I'm going to meet these folks. I'm going to learn more about the business. They have all these master classes and workshops, in different areas of the business. So I can get insight that way, learn more about directing, more about this, more about that. And just, again, continue to grow my network. So let's see. we've been doing teleprompting. We've been doing the film festival circuit continuously. I also volunteer with industry organizations. And again, I'm a huge proponent of that. And I tell everybody, these are your training grounds. And,
Indeed.
Are your local veterans in the industry that you can learn from just by watching, not necessarily demanding of their time, but just by being in the space and watching. And again, when you participate and you don't come with your hand out expecting, but you come with a service mindset and you're giving, you get back regardless. You always are going to get back. And so again, I volunteered with professional organizations, one of those being Women in Film and Television Atlanta. And that, experience was invaluable to me. I met some phenomenal women who, again, still friends to this day. And, going through that, I started out as a volunteer, started helping one of the board members, ended up becoming a temporary replacement for that person when they had to go on leave from the board, ended up becoming a board member, ended up becoming president of the local chapter, and then on the advisory board of the organization as well. And that connection to that organization is one of, the most proud moments in my career, just because it represented some of the things that I've been talking about tonight and what I think is how you move forward, in an industry like this. It's a collaborative space, and that organization is international, and it's known for, even though it's women in film and television, it's inclusive, and the information that's shared is relative to everyone if you're pursuing, a career in this business. And so I always, champion women in film and other professional organizations alike, because again, you can just glean so much. We had a PSA program whereby we helped women directors have an opportunity to direct, because oftentimes, they can be shut out of opportunities. And we had student scholarships to help alleviate financial burden with women who were members who were pursuing a degree in film and television. And so there were just so many avenues within that organization that were of support for the community, that our missions were aligned. And so again, that was one of the proudest moments of my career, was being affiliated with Women in Film and just all the amazing things that they've done, prior to and since. Nice. But so in doing that, one of my friends who actually I met from Women in Film. Oh, well, and I also was involved with, there was a Southern Screen Report. It was a publication, an independent publication that was put out that at the time was capturing all of the film and TV explosion that was happening because of the tax incentives. And I had connected with the founder via one of the festivals that I was at, and she needed help. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll help. So, I did everything from helping, distribute issues of the magazine, to some of the photography that was included, to writing a few of the articles, doing ad sales and whatnot. But again, it was all related to me. It was about the industry. It was additional education. Nice. It was, spreading the word to the masses. And so in doing that, another lady who was a part of that staff with us was a filmmaker, and we had become friends, and she wanted me to help her with her short film that was coming up. And she wanted me to be a script supervisor for her. And I was like, nice. What is that? And I was like, I don't know what that is. And she's like, oh, no, it's fine. You'll be able to do it. It's fine. And I was just like, I don't do anything that I don't know how to do well. Like, I don't want to just take on something knowing that I'm going to fail. So I did some research, and I figured out what it was. I reached out to another filmmaker who had just finished a feature film, and they were the script supervisor for that project. And I was like, hey, can I just like pick your brain for a little bit? They brought some samples of their work and showed me. In doing my research, had found this book online, Pat Miller's Script Supervising and Continuity, I think is the name of the book. And I, gone through the book, like, okay, this is that, or what, and I was like, okay, I think I can do it, like I feel at least comfortable and confident because I know what it is now. I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
And again, I was probably doing too much, but I was just like, I don't want to fail you, like you're doing this film, this project for a reason. It has a goal and a purpose. And I don't want to take on that responsibility and not know what I'm doing and do a disservice to you and your project.
Nice.
So I did that, and it was a great experience. And because of that, again, snowball. Because this business is a referral-based business, and it is about relationships, and it is about work ethic. And someone that I worked with on that short recommended me to somebody else. And again, snowball, that is how my script supervising career started. It became short after short, and then it escalated in weight and, budget and, all of those things, and then becoming studio projects and mainstream projects and things of the like versus indie. But it started there. It started volunteering my time. I didn't get paid to do that film. But again, that was my film school. Now I had an opportunity to put those skills to work in a practical setting and learn from them. And each time I did it, I was honing that skill so that when my time at bat came, I had enough experience under my belt to know enough to go into it, not as a vet, like I don't want to profess that, but I knew enough.
Exactly.
And what I didn't know, I was continuing to learn. And with that function and just with every production, everyone knows every production is different. They all have their own nuances. There's something, it's across the board for certain things, but each one has its own little nuance. And so at least I was armed with the base understanding of what the role was. And I just continued to develop that over the years working in that position. And so, I think my first big break was, this is something I want to point out too, just for people who are perhaps pursuing and interested, because again, it just sets the tone, is that there are competitions, like 48-hour film competitions in all markets. And again, those are great training grounds, whatever your interest is. If you're interested in being a camera operator, if you're interested in being a grip, if you're interested in, editing, whatever, those are great opportunities to collaborate with filmmakers in a fun environment for a very short amount of time. So, you're not getting paid, but the commitment is small. So, you do a 40-hour film project, you have something to show at the end, you have a lot of memories, hopefully fun with the cast and crew. But you're also building your credits and just building your foundation in those different areas or trying those areas out. But you're also networking. And
Indeed.
I always recommend this, to people who are starting out. So I had done several 48-hour film projects and others of the like. And again, free work, but you got to start somewhere. And you got to pay your
one thing I want to interject in that. Here's one thing I want to interject in that I want to make sure that everybody is understanding, is that she's going after her passion, but she did it even though she wasn't getting paid. Now, I'm sure she had other things that she did to just have life sustainability, but she was learning through the processes of going through these, these different experiences, and that's how she was able to apply them to herself. Getting that free education, getting that free knowledge from individuals that are elite in what they're doing. Some of these people pay top dollar. You have to pay for their film schools or have them to come and do seminars or whatever the case may be. She volunteered her time to learn that free that information that is catapulting your career. And so I want to make sure that you all understand that when you're passionate about something, you will do it even if you're not getting paid. You would do it even if you're not as successful as you want to be in it, because you are a student of the art or student of that field. So I just wanted to interject that, and you can continue from there.
Sure thing. No, great point. And I wanted to say another recommendation for those that are interested also is look at film schools as far as when the students are doing their productions, and see if you're able to participate in those. I know for actors, it's really easy. It may not be as easy for crew positions because they're obviously using the film students there, but maybe there are opportunities to just be an extra hand or whatever. But those productions, I mean, they have access to the resources and the money. And oftentimes that's some of the most creative content that comes out that year is from those film schools and those students. So, you know, I tell people, look at 48-hour projects, look at film schools, look at all of those as avenues to help you continue to build your resume. For me, when I did the 48, there was not an ulterior motive at play. I just was doing what I just mentioned. But what happened was, we're in, you know, the Atlanta market. A lot of the people that participate are filmmakers by trade. Some are just hobbyists. But what happened was, I had done a film that actually was primarily crewed by people with a production company. And they actually primarily did commercials, but, you know, commercials didn't feed their creative spirit in the same way as a short film would. And so they would do this just for kicks. I mean, they were getting paid very well doing commercial content. And they had put together this group. I didn't know that going into it. I just knew someone had recommended me, and they reached out, and I was like, oh, sure, you know. So I say all this to say that, you know, we did the project. It was fun. Everyone was nice. We had a great time. And then the next time they had a commercial, they called me. And so that was one of my first paid scripty gigs, was because I had done free scripty work for them on a 48-hour. And I mean, they like a nice little card and everything after the project, you know, just saying thanks. And then, you know, the bigger thanks was calling me for paid work, you know, and that's what you hope, right? But you don't go into it expecting that. You just go into it doing the job, having the ethic, and hoping that people will see that work and reward it.
Indeed.
I think one of my first, where I felt big break of being a scripty, was when I got the call to do a job at Turner. And, you know, being local here, that's one of like the creme de la creme, you know, opportunities. I mean, that used to be the $1 million question. How do you get in with Turner? You know, and I was like, I can't tell you, because they got my number from somebody else. You know, I couldn't tell you if I wanted to. But that really was a pivotal moment for me, because it kicked things up a notch. Like I felt like I was doing a good job and whatnot, but I felt like that took it to the next level. And so there was, you know, some anxiety a little bit there going into that first day on set. But again, it was such a great environment. The people were wonderful. We had a good time. We did great work. And that ended up starting my career, having Turner as a major client of mine for several years. And so I'm forever grateful for that first call. You know, that was like, hey, we need a replacement for somebody. Can you come in? And it was like, you said Turner? You get no problem.
Indeed. Now, on the back of your wall, you have, and we talked about this pre-show, but you have your director's chairs, backs of your director's chairs behind you. And so some of the projects that you were involved in was a part of your introduction, as far as well as advertisements and things of that sort. So you kind of given us a history to lead you up to these larger projects. And so kind of tell us how you ended up getting involved with the mainstream TV shows that you have involvement in, and some of the major films like Fist Fight and, you know, things of that sort. So how that came about.
Sure. So the funny thing is, it really is just more of the same, because again, we tend to be a referral based industry because we spend so many hours together collaborating
Right.
to yield the product that we do. It's a lot about, can you vouch for this person's personality, their temperament, you know what I mean? And so those
Right.
things come into play in addition to, I mean, obviously the baseline is, are they skilled and talented enough to do the job? But it's having that endorsement of somebody saying, oh no, I worked with them on this, they're great, you know, you'll enjoy them. Because I mean, some of these projects are, you know, months on end at a time, and so it's a lot about the dynamic on set as much as it is anything else. But so it really was a lot more of the same, of people that I had worked with that thought that I had done, you know, a great job passing my name on. And then me getting a call. I still had to interview for the positions and go in and meet with directors and see if, you know, we gelled and, you know, past the interview stage. But sometimes that's just a formality. Like sometimes
Right.
if that person, if they trust that person enough, they're like, well, if so-and-so vouch for you, that's all I need to know. But it, you know, I mean, you have to do the job, like, because you can get a job and then fail at it, and it will be very clear very early on that you don't know what you're doing, and you'll get replaced.
Right.
But
Indeed.
so yeah, those opportunities for the larger projects, they just kind of snowballed, you know, they just kind of started to escalate into bigger things after I did or maybe simultaneously, I kind of forget. But while I was doing stuff for Turner, I started, you know, getting other film opportunities, other independent film opportunities. And then those people were continuing to grow in their careers as well. And so as they moved up and ascended, as often is the case, they continue to take those crew members with them that they know they have a great work bond with. And so
Yeah.
some of it was that, but some of it was just cold. Some of it was, we don't know you, you know, we're coming in town from LA. We have a list of people. Send us your resume. We'll set up an interview if we're interested, you know, and go from there. And some of it was that. And it just, you know, one thing led to the other.
Nice. You know, I know I'm going to say this a little different than most people use it, about how your gift to bring you before kings, but your integrity, your work ethic, your passion is what's going to keep you there, and it's going to keep you in the room. And, you know, to see how you started from just doing volunteer work to or being an intern, if you will, you know, and learning under the tutelage of people that's already done it, to the point that now you starting to venture out into doing other things, and you're building your portfolio technically, because now you're deciding that, you know, well, I want to go, I'm doing acting, but now I'm learning how to run a teleprompter. I'm learning how to be a script supervisor. I'm learning how to do production. And it's like you're graduating, learning every aspect of the industry, some of it freely, but you're learning this because you're able to apply it to your productions and what it is that you're doing. So you know how to stab people in that area because you've already done it. You already know the logistics of it, and you know how to look for the right people that's going to get the job done because you worked the different aspects of it. And even in that, it's admirable because some people don't want to start from the bottom. They want to go straight to the top and want to fast track some things. But when you learn from the bottom, you learn the workings of how it works. So that's amazing. I've seen a lot of your photos and your Facebook, so you've had a lot of opportunity to meet a lot of prestigious people, a lot of actors, a lot of directors, a lot of people. Did you have a fangirl moment when you saw someone in particular, or did you just maintain, normalcy or who you are, and just still introduce yourself and not act like a fangirl, if you will?
So for me, professionalism is like a really big thing, and you mentioned integrity earlier.
Indeed.
And so maintaining decorum and whoever I'm representing is very important to me.
Yes.
But as far as like, so even when I'm working with, celebrities of all calibers. The funny thing is, I used to say, I was like, people probably think I'm weird because I don't get excited about it with them, because I'm so focused on trying to make sure that I do the job that I was hired for. And I never feel like I have time to depart from that focus. Like at the minute that we're on set, I'm supposed to be on. And so sometimes I often reflect on relationships that I see that develop organically with like vanities, hair and makeup people and talent, that, you know, it makes sense because these people sit in their chairs every day and they, you know, it's like going to the barber shop. They just start chatting and have conversations and they become close. And that is not typically the relationship that I have with talent when I'm on a project. And so it kind of bums me a little bit because I'm like, I feel like they don't really get to know my personality, but I take my job very serious. And so I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I mean, it is what it is. If I did a good job, then that's the end result that was supposed to happen. And that's what matters most. But as far as fangirl moment, so I will say the first fangirl moment I had, this was before I was working behind the scenes. This was when I had started in background, and I was doing a film with Robert Redford and Helen Mirren. And I was a huge Helen Mirren fan. And she literally was seated like within arm's length of me. And so I had a fangirl moment to myself where I was just like, oh my God. She wasn't even Dame Helen Mirren, I don't think, at that point. And I was just like, it's Helen Mirren. Okay. So that was a moment. But, and of course, when I worked with Michelle Obama, that was truly a moment. Now that was, I guess, a fangirl moment, but I had that after we had done our job. We had successfully done everything. It went smoothly. And they brought her back to interact with me and do a photo op and everything. And I thought I was going to play it cool. But, you know, like I mentioned, we both went to the same high school, and that has a lot of pride for me and my classmates, and just the legacy that she and her husband created. And I didn't realize in the moment that I would be overcome with all of that. And so when we engaged, and I also thought, you know, they're heads of state here and whatnot, and I'm just a little, you know, peon, and so she's not really gonna spend time with me. And I thought it was gonna be hi, bye, next, you know. And to my surprise, she like actually wanted to engage in a conversation, and I was just like, oh, and I lost my faculties as far as being able to come up with an intelligent conversation. And she asked me like one of the easiest questions I will never forget. Because I had made it through, oh yeah, you know, I'm from Chicago and whatever. And she was like, oh, okay, cool. And she was like, oh, where did you live? And I spaced out because I had lived in Chicago like, what, 15 something years, 20 years. I don't even know at that point. And I forgot my address. And so I couldn't, and I was like, it's, and I gave her 2 parallel streets. And I was like, and I didn't realize it at the time. But after we walked away, I was like, she probably was like, what is wrong with that girl? But it was just a moment that I was clumped. And yeah, so I think that probably has been my biggest fangirl moment, truly, because there's not a lot of people that I really am like that worked up about per se. So yeah, I think that was it.
Interestingly enough, and this I'm just learning about you in this moment, we both share the same thing. I have had the opportunity to meet actors and things of that sort, and I too, in my head, I might be like, oh my God, but in the moment, you know, I do maintain myself, and I don't, you know, get too overly, you know, enthusiastic about the moment, because sometimes that can kill a relationship. But also, too, I didn't know that we shared in going to 2 former first ladies of the president's high school. I actually, for a brief moment, went to Maine East, which is actually the high school that what is her name? Hillary Clinton went to. She went
Oh,
to Maine East on the in the northwest, the north suburbs of Chicago, and so I actually went to that high school briefly before ended up moving to the northwest suburbs out in Elgin or what have you. But yeah, so if funny enough, we had two first ladies whose schools we went to. That's real interesting. Now, I do want to because I know we're kind of 15 minutes over the hour. However, I do want to ask two questions before we go, or what have you. One question is, what is new on the horizon for you? What projects do you have that you're able to share that is coming up for you in the near future? Or what is it that you're looking to try to produce or build in the coming future?
so, and I apologize because I guess I went too long on some of the other things. So,
No, you're perfect.
well, so there's a whole other area of the career that we didn't get into. So that's why I apologize. So because we didn't talk about producing at all. So I'll just say, with script supervising simultaneously, again, eggs in multiple baskets, I have been producing from the beginning, but more so on the corporate nonprofit side of things versus film and TV, and in those larger, with those larger like studio products. I mean, I've done some TV field producing, but primarily with the nonprofit and corporate space, I've been producing and live events. And so in producing, one of the things that I kind of steered off to, and this is birthed out of my film festival love and affinity for that space, is that I love curating content. And so as a producer, I had the opportunity to acquire content globally from all over for a network, for Magic Johnson's network, Aspire TV for 4 seasons. And that is something that I'm really proud of because it allowed me to tap into talent all over the globe and help them bring more eyes to their work. And so that is really my passion. And that is, you know, as far as like what's on the horizon, I'm looking to further develop that side of my career. I love the acquisition space. And I love working in the programming and festival space. And like I said, I've been doing all of those things simultaneously. Most people just aren't aware. And so that is what I'm looking forward to. So bringing those more to the forefront at this juncture of my career.
Nice. And so as we get ready to wrap up, as always, I ask this question, but this question is actually going to be a two-parter. It's going to be about yourself, and then we're going to kind of dive into a family member of ours. But as I ask always, what is it that you want to be remembered by when it's your time to ascend on? What is the legacy that you want to leave behind? And we can start there. And then the second part of that question is, you have a sister, and my cousin passed away. Her name is Sam or Samantha. And she passed a couple of years ago in that regard. And there are some legacies that you're continuing on in her honor. So I want to kind of dive in that as well. But let's start with your legacy that you want to be remembered by.
Sure. So, I mean, mine is probably going to be cheesy in the sense that I'm not motivated directly by this, but when it's all said and done, obviously, I hope that the work that I've done has led to good and been impactful and helped people along the way, and that I am remembered fondly in that vein. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about that per se. Me and what I do, you know, I just do the work.
Indeed.
But as far as a legacy, yeah, I just hope that it's one that is positive, that it was beneficial and helpful to others, and that, you know, I did good while I was on this planet. And
Indeed.
with respect to part 2 of that, what I would say is that, you know, you mentioned my sister, Samantha, and your cousin, and I could only hope to have left a mark as bright and as impactful as my sister did. She was my middle sister, and she was very quiet in nature.
Indeed.
And I said she probably is going to be actually the most famous one of all of us, despite our different personalities, in that she's always a loving person, but like I said, she's pretty quiet, especially around people that don't know her. And she didn't really like a lot of people or strangers or anything like that. But she was so gifted in the gift that she left behind and that she gave the world before she left us. So she was a park ranger, and she had a passion for archery and a passion for animals. And so at the park, she tended to all of the animals in the nature center, the snakes, the turtles, you name it, every creature that they had there, she took care of. Anytime you go to the nature center, you would find her with one of them. Usually it was one of the snakes, and she would have it either around her neck, or one of the snakes loved to like crawl into her waistband of her uniform pants and look like a belt. And one of them would sit on her head, and people would always be in awe because they thought that it was fake initially if she was sitting at the front desk, until it would move, and then they would be like, wait a minute, you have a real snake on you, like what is wrong with and but she took care of the animals, and in addition to that, she ran the archery program there. And the impact that she had, we did not have a clue the smidget of an impact she had until she had passed, and we realized how affected others were just like us by the loss. And so in her memory, we started an archery tournament in her name to carry that on, because she had started the first tournament at the park back in 2013, and they had done it for a few years, and then for some reasons it ended up going away. And I thought, this is the perfect thing to kind of honor her, is if we could like pull this off. And
Indeed.
My background in producing and event management helped with that, because I had not studied archery. I mean, I took archery in high school, and we went shooting with her occasionally, but it was really her baby, her passion. She had studied up on it. She had gotten all the certifications to be the instructor on beginning, intermediate, and advanced levels, and to be able to actually host an archery tournament, which requires a lot of legwork. And but I thought, this is apropos, and if we can do this, we need to, because one of the things about her was that people often remarked that she shouldn't have been in the spaces she was in, that she shouldn't have occupied those spaces because she was a woman, she was a Black woman. And they would be like, there are no Black women park rangers, there are no Black park ranger,
Right.
And they would say, there are no Black archers, there, and all of these things. And in her own quiet way, she was constantly disproving those notions to people. Not that she cared what they thought, but just by her actions. And so for me, it became important to, as part of her legacy, keep dispelling those notions and exposing more people to the sport that she loved, and giving them an opportunity to try it out and be exposed to something that they may have bought into the myth of, oh, well, we don't do that. And it's like, no, we do. Everybody can. Literally, there's no boundary for archery, really. Anybody can do the sport pretty much. And so that was important to us. And in continuing with her legacy in that vein, while we've done the tournament for going on 3 years now, we knew that we also wanted to expand it into other areas. And so she and I went dog sledding. It'll be 10 years this year. We went 10 years next year. We went dog sledding, and everybody was like, you did what? And it's like, yeah, we drove our own sleds with, we had like 6 dogs each to our own sled. We camped out. We did it up at this kennel up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And it was an amazing experience, but it's one of those things that until you've done it, your mindset is closed off to it. And again, we don't do those things, or, certain people don't do those things. And so
Indeed.
It just became a natural part of the mission that, we're going to incorporate like all of those things into the mix in her honor as part of her legacy, to keep expanding the numbers of people who do reach outside the box, think outside the box, try other things, and maybe realize that they're great at them. Like, so many people had never shot archery before and were naturals at it, because we have, it's a competition and we give out prizes, and so many people performed way better than they could have imagined, but it was just because they had never picked up a bow and arrow before. So, you talk about a legacy. She touched so many people. So many people come up to us and talk to us about the impact she had and how she instructed them. And it's so moving. And so one could only hope that we could leave a smidgen of the legacy that she left. And I know I won't even come close. So I'm just happy to continue spreading her legacy. And that is, that will be enough for me.
Indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely. As we were talking, I had to, make this a in love and memory segment for her, because, she was doing so many great things. And it's even being her cousin, I didn't get a chance to see a lot of the things that she's done. But when I went to the last archery tournament to see the impact of how she's left in people's lives and how they come out to in support of her and people that were impacted, it's amazing. And so it's only fitting to honor her and the legacy that she built and that she's created, because this is what this is part of what the show is about. I know we're not looking to per se die, if you will, but when we leave this place, we want to be able to have something that's left behind, something, a name or a talent or a mantle or a gift that we can impart into somebody else, or reproduce ourselves into someone else, so that they can live on and be inspired. And so it's really amazing to see what she has achieved. And that we can also apply that same concept even to ourselves, to be one to create and live legacy. So I just wanted to have this moment as a love and memory to her, because she is our family, and she did some great and amazing things.
Oh,
so thank you, cousin, for coming on so much, for coming on and sharing. I tell you, your story has inspired me. I know we both share in a go-getter mentality, and we kind of are perfectionist type things. But I think that work ethic is what, like I said earlier, is going to continue to open doors for us, because of the fact that we are go-getters, that we're not allowing where we come from, our circumstances, or what have you, even bloodline, to stop us in our drive, in our focus, in determination. And so I applaud you for what it is that you're doing. This is only the beginning. You're really only cracking the surface of what it is that's going to be opening up for you for the near future. So just be on the lookout. I'm going to be on the lookout for seeing your name even more under productions and in credits in production, in every aspect of what it is that you're doing. And then also too, reproducing yourself. I do see that even in your future as well, that you're going to be one that continues to reproduce yourself into others, that is going to be inspired to go into this same field. And I believe that there's going to be a lot of people that has listened in to say, you know what, I want to connect to her. I want to follow her career. I want to see what it is that she's done. Look into her movies and TV shows and small film productions, and just kind of pattern their lives after what it is that you're doing, because it is definitely an inspiration. So I wanted to bless you with that as well.
Oh, thank you. And if I could, there is something that I do want to mention, if it's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So as far as what I have coming up, it's something that I'm involved with and, again, passionate about. But for those that are in the business or just lovers of film, Bronze Lens Film Festival is having its 11th annual festival. It's a virtual edition, of course, because of COVID-19. But it starts next week on August 11th and goes through the 16th. And you can check it out at bronzelens.com, on their Facebook page, their Twitter, and Instagram. You know, just check out the festival. It is free this year, so there's really no excuse why you shouldn't check it out. There's some great films that are in the lineup. Bronze Lens is one of the festivals in the short film category that the winner is then eligible to submit to the Academy Awards. So that's a big deal. And so we have great workshops coming. We've got some powerhouse conversations, again, amazing films, and we've got Bronze Lens After Dark, which is our after party series as well each day. So tune in. There's also a brunch with the brothers on Sunday, I believe, and there's a cinema and social justice block of films as well. Being in Atlanta and the hub of the civil rights movement, that is a key part of the festival also. So there's something for everyone. There are shorts, there are features, there are web series, there are music videos, there are workshops and discussions with industry veterans. So it's a great opportunity to kind of, as I've been expressing, you know, tap into a film festival. If you don't have the funds because of COVID, now it doesn't matter because it's free. So join us. And again, bronzelens.com.
Indeed. I tell you guys, she has given a wealth of knowledge. If you just came on, no worries. You can go ahead and watch the replay. I know we went kind of over tonight. We actually did an hour and a half tonight, but there is a lot of wealth of knowledge tonight that was given for those that want to get into the entertainment industry, from film to production to, you know, working behind the scenes, to be an actor. There is a lot of wealth of knowledge that I want you to just go back and watch the replay. And I tell you, it's going to inspire you guys. Thank you again, my cousin, for coming on and sharing your level of expertise. I really am appreciative of your gift, and thank you for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure.
As we get ready to get out of here, guys, I want you to be on the lookout for the next coming show. It seems to be that this is the week, this week and part of next week is dealing in the film and production industry. And so we have on tonight, we have on a, you know, someone that deals in the production side of it, but now on Wednesday, we're going to have a celebrity guest, Victor Love. He is an actor. He's also owner and founder of Evolve Atlanta Acting School. He is the acting coach for Janelle Monáe. Most of the films that she's been in, especially those that she's won awards for, he was her acting coach, especially like in Hidden Figures and a lot of films. I won't go over her full, but he has impacted her life with being her film coach amongst other people. He's also been in films such as The Hank Gather Story. He's also been in Heaven is My Playground, Native Son with Oprah Winfrey, and he's also been in different TV shows like A Different World, a West Wing, and The Resident, and the list goes on. He has a large portfolio of things that he's been involved in, and I tell you, you don't want to miss him on August 5th. Interestingly enough, on tomorrow, we both have birthdays is tomorrow. So his birthday is August 4th as well. So great people are born on the month of August. I tell you, you know, Barack Obama is also birthday is on the 4th as well. And so we're just going to come on and do a celebration together, but also him tell his story about how he got into the film industry and how he is the person that he is today. So you definitely don't want to miss that on August 5th at 7 p.m. For myself, I also have, and I did not put it up on the screen, I do apologize. I'm also doing a virtual birthday party on tomorrow, and so basically I'm going to be on for about an hour, just celebrating turning 40, and then I'm also going to, you know, play some music that I do not own the rights to, and I'm going to give you all opportunities to kind of come on and share your your happy birthday messages. So go on my wall. You will see a link to the live. You can post your comment on the wall. Your happy birthdays on the wall. You can actually go on and click on the link, and that'll bring you on StreamYard, and you can be able to come on and share your happy birthdays there. And just let's make this a celebration. I did want to actually do a 40th birthday party in Chicago, but due to COVID, you know, things change. But nevertheless, we're going to celebrate this thing virtually together. So just going to come on for a good hour and just, you know, enjoy and celebrate and just experience this milestone of change in my life. So thank you guys for coming on again. Again, be on the lookout for more to come with Legacy Builder series. I tell you, it's taking off in directions that I never experienced before, but I'm grateful for the new connections and the resources that is coming through this. But I hope it is empowering you. I hope it's inspiring you to go after your goals and destinies in whatever capacity that is. And just remember to continue to build legacy.
Thank you for viewing the Legacy Builders series. Tune in July through August, Mondays and/or Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with special guest panelists to appear. Want to be a guest or a sponsor? Send your request via email to legacybuilderstv@gmail.com. Till next time, go forth and build legacy.